BBC Hooniverse.
You're watching the TGM production.
Hello and welcome to Rewind the Tape, the show where I discover there's an anniversary or something where it's a good talking point, but I've already done the majority of the talking, so I bring in the old information. This year celebrates 20 years of New Who Series 2. New Who Series 2 is a very lengthy title. It isn't very interesting to sort of try and work out to mould it into something. I found earlier today that I made a film called New Who at 20. It was a film series. I did an omnibus. It was all hunky-dory. So what I thought was I will bring that back out, like reel it in, and I'll showcase that back out here. New Who at 20 will be the omnibus edition is what you're about to see. But what I'm here for, and the reason why it's called Rewind the Tape, is because I'm going to talk about 20 years, from for Series 2. Series 2 was our first time we ever saw Rose Tyler interact with the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant. I think that for a lot of people, this was the catalyst, I think is the word I'm looking for, to bring them into the fans of Who, because when you talk about 20 years of New Who, Christopher Eccleston for some people were their Doctor, but like Paul McGann, he wasn't there for long. So you've got to sort of go, well, what did David Tennant's 10th Doctor, ignore the other versions of the Doctor he's played, what did he do for the programme? Well, he helped to continue that wave of making it mega popular, so that you walk into Toys R Us and you see a massive picture of David Tennant as the Doctor, and the Doctor Who theme tune's playing, and as you walk towards it, and you can play with, and you can buy every single merchandise item that exists. And I think that sort of adds to the fact that it makes it bigger, makes it bolder, makes it better. But having David Tennant on board was like, okay, I'm intrigued to see how this was. And then the shock of his exit was like, no, don't leave. And then obviously Matt Smith smashed out the park again, and Peter Capaldi, and Jodie Whittaker, and Ncuti Gatwa. And it's been going strength to strength to strength. Yep, there might be some weak episodes here and there, right, of every Doctor, because that's just how it rolls. But I think that David Tennant had David Tennant had a good couple of interesting characters with him. So we have had Rose Tyler, Donna Noble, Martha Jones, now we call her Martha Smith. I have no idea why. And then David Tennant's reintroduced new fans to Sarah Jane. So without David Tennant, we wouldn't have got the Sarah Jane Adventures. He's appeared in the Sarah Jane Adventures. It was Matt Smith's Doctor that appeared in the Sarah Jane Adventures episode with Joe Grant, with Katie Manning. So, I mean, you've got the thing of, in a scale of 1 to 1,000, I think David's interesting. The way David didn't perform the character makes it interesting. He's one that reintroduced the Cybermen into New Who, and I think that there's a lot of he introduced the Ood. He continued the legacy of the Slitheen, I think, because it's like without the Slitheen appearing in Christopher Eccleston's era, then without David introducing Sarah Jane to a new audience, we wouldn't have had the Slitheen in the Sarah Jane Adventures. We wouldn't have had Al Haskell from Doctors be a Slitheen in Sarah Jane Adventures. But I think that, and I'll get on to that in another video, but I think that what's interesting when looking back at the run of David Tennant, you can sort of see why easily became really popular. I wasn't too keen on the decision to introduce Donna Noble, then introduce Martha, then get rid of Martha to reintroduce Donna. I'm assuming that Donna Noble was supposed to be a one-off Christmas character, but was the writers or whoever must have loved Catherine Tate's performance and thought, well, we want to bring her back, and I don't know how long Freema Agyeman wanted to stay on in the companion role, so it's all a little bit like confusing in that sense. But apart from that, I do think that he's had an excellent run. But if you look at Series 2, which is why we're celebrating 20 years, you can see that it's got that spark. It's like, yes, after the first episode of the first series of New Who, the team were trying to work on what Doctor Who is, and then once you introduce a word of regeneration to the new audience, then they've got to work on who is the 10th Doctor, who is this version of the character. And I think that as you slowly get through the episode, you sort of learn more and more and more, and it becomes, if I've got to be honest, it becomes more interesting in the later half of the second series than the earlier, because in the earlier half you can see that David Tennant's trying to find his feet, trying to work on what he wants to do, and Billie Piper's trying to work out what Rose Tyler's dynamic now with this version of the Doctor. How is Rose Tyler coped with the whole regeneration thing and learning all these new things, and you sort of get that feeling that there's a lot more to it than we would expect. So, I'd like to say happy 20 years to Doctor Who Series 2. Tonight on BBC Three, they're re-airing the 60th anniversary specials, titled as 20 Years of Tennant. And then I think they're going to do the 50th anniversary as well, which is also labelled 20 Years of Tennant. So, this is the year of David Tennant. Obviously, he did return to our screens quite recently, like last Wednesday in 2026, where he was the narrator again, which is in the same world as W1A and 2020 and 2012. So, it is the year of David Tennant, but happy 20 years of Series 2 of New Who. Now, let's have a look back at when I celebrated 20 years of New Who. This is the 20 Years of New Who Omnibus. Enjoy! Today we're going to be talking about all things Radio Times and Doctor Who. Now, the beginning of it was just a little idea I had just before I pressed record. It wasn't really what I wanted to talk about, but it was an idea I had that I think I wanted to share. Sharing it at the beginning means that it's more likely to get out into the world quicker, because I heard once someone said most people watch the opening of the video rather than anything else. I don't really know, because I don't really look at those type of things, but that is vaguely what I remember hearing. Radio Times this year, or this week, is celebrating 20 years of New Who, Doctor Who from 2005 to present day. There was a gap in 2016, but we've had 6 years of Doctor Who with a gap in the 90s. The wilderness years. Now, I was going to say, oh look, this is the cover I got. I got mine delivered by post. So I'm going to wait until tomorrow's video. So this is part 1. Tomorrow's part 2. I'm going to wait until tomorrow's video to be able to work out whether or not the delivered ones that you get delivered to your house, the subscription versions, will they send out 6 versions of the same magazine because it's different covers? Or will we get a subscription only covers? Like with the Christmas Radio Times, you get 2 versions. You get the regular one that everyone's buying in Tesco's, Asda, Sainsbury's, all the supermarkets that stock Radio Times and news agents. And then you also get a special subscribers only version, which has a special cover on it. And sometimes we get special covers that are slightly better than the cover that everyone else would get. So I'm not going to show you my cover till tomorrow, because I'm going to wait until I'm going to give it a day to find out whether or not I'll get any more versions of it. Because I think I quite like the cover, but I do think I slightly want to see if they'll send them all. I highly doubt it. But it's worth looking at. It's worth checking, and it's worth investigating, is what I always say. So, Radio Times have to be a big fan of Doctor Who, technically, because in the early days of Radio Times, before Radio Times is what it is now, Radio Times was owned by the BBC. So obviously, when there was a big BBC programme coming out, that would be the front cover. And so Doctor Who was the front cover many times, and many versions across the years. And since I started getting the subscription, I've had many Doctor Who covers that I'll probably demonstrate and show off in a future video next year. The reason why I say next year is because just in case anything else happens with it, or once I've found out the best way to display them, I'll be able to show them off. So that'll be a next year project. So overall, I think that the Radio Time covers for Doctor Who, since I started getting the subscription, have always been very interesting, very nice. The articles are brilliant. They're well worth reading, and I think that celebrate 20 years. It's unbelievable that it's been 20 years since the beginning of New Who. I quite like how we've called it New Who on the magazine, because sometimes publications don't like to call it New Who. So, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire had a Doctor Who question for the Fastest Finger First companion-wise, but it never said New Who or Classic Who. It just said Doctor Who. So it made it harder if you were then rushing through thinking who it could be and whatnot. And you could go wrong slightly. So I think that I'm quite like the Radio Times were the ones that said, yes, we are going to write on it that it is New Who and it is 20 years of it. And people don't understand that. Well, look at the covers. I have heard, I haven't seen it in the wild, or I haven't seen it when I first found out there were multiple different covers for this week's Radio Times, that there is a 9th Doctor one, but I don't hear much about that. I don't know enough about that, if you will. So I'm not too sure what was entirely going on there, but I think that I think it's interesting that we've got Doctors 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We don't have 14 because that is every 10, and I don't think they need to duplicate that. But we do have 15. So we've got from Christopher Eccleston to Ncuti Gatwa. And Ncuti, sorry. I saw a video recently of how he pronounces his name, and if I keep getting it wrong, I do apologise, and if anyone wants to help correct it, I'll be happy. And so yeah, overall I think that the article within it, which I'll demonstrate in part 2 of this, it's interesting, and it makes it more, well, it's not taking over the magazine, it's just utilising elements of it. It also helps to promote the next series that's out on the 12th of April at 8 AM on the BBC iPlayer here in the UK, and 7 PM on BBC One here in the UK, and 6 AM in American Disney Plus, and I think 6:30 PM Australia Disney Plus. I could be wrong on there. It's a good way of promoting the new series for Radio Times readers, because it means that they get to enjoy articles about 20 years of New Who, but also say, well, he's coming back, here's the details, enjoy. And I think that's what makes it more fun, if you'll catch that with me. So there we have it. There we have it for part 1. Overall, sorry about my chin video. Overall, I want to say that the cover looks amazing, the article is amazing, and I hope that Radio Times sticks with Doctor Who for years to come. There was 6 covers, yeah? 9th Doctor, 10th Doctor, 11th Doctor, 13th Doctor, technically not 14th, and 15th, that's technically 5, but anyway, that's beside the one. So we've got Doctor number 11, and it says on it, Radio Times, 3 of 6 covers. The 22nd of March to the 28th of March 2025. 20th anniversary special, New Who at 20. It was the last chance saloon, Russell T Davies, and bringing Doctor Who back from the oblivion 20 must-see episodes to watch now. Exclusive new series preview. Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, 2010 to 2013. And if you open it up, and you open it up again, because obviously you don't get there from the beginning, you do get a little bit of snippet from Chris Chibnall. But he's probably talking about his new drama he's got coming up, and you keep going through it. And here you are. You've got a section called New Who at 20. On this article, these things include 2010, Time of the Angel, Series 5, Episode 4. The Day of the Doctor, 50th Anniversary, 2013. 2015, Heaven Sent, Series 9, Episode 11. 2017, Doctor Falls, Series 10, Episode 12. 2016, The Return of Doctor Mysterio, 2016 Christmas Special. 2014, Dark Water, Series 8, Episode 11. 2011, we have A Good Man Goes to War, Series 6, Episode 7. And 2012, The Angels Take Manhattan, Series 7, Episode 5. So, I want to talk briefly about The Angels Take Manhattan, which the synopsis reads, the Doctor's companion doesn't always come to the nicest of ends in the modern show. If you're not lucky enough to get trapped in a parallel universe or wiped, they might find themselves killed by the Cybermen or a bird in their 2012 exit episode of Karen Gillan's Amy. So, I think Angels Take Manhattan was on the creepiest side of episodes. I think it's the one with the dolls that goes tick tock goes the clock, it's time to kill the Doctor. Tick tock goes the clock, it's time to kill the Doctor. So this article really, and I can't remember what that episode's called per se. I know that wasn't in the episode directly. That was when they pan out to the world after we found out that the person that was going to kill the Doctor in a possible asteroid is someone closer to him than we think. I'm not going to spoil it, just in case you haven't seen it, but it is New Who is 20 years old. Stephen Moffat's era. Regular Who scribe Stephen Moffat took over from Russell T Davies in 2010, staying in the show-running role for 7 years with two Doctors, Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi. The extraordinary days, Doctor Who plus Sherlock, are a blur to me now, he says. I was working too hard and fast, properly remember any of it. I have a dim impression of panic, guilt trying to cut down on sleep so I can get more done. It doesn't work, but you know what? When I told people I was screenwriting and they asked if they've seen anything I've done, boy, did I have one hell of a answer. These days, these amazing days. I wonder what they were like. Moffat's second Doctor, fellow Scott Capaldi, also had fond memories. It was reawakened the child in all of us, he told Radio Times. The revival of Doctor Who was and is one of the most welcome sights on TV. No other epic yarn is like Doctor Who, adds Moffat. It's brand new and ancient at the same time. That's the Doctor for you. You've known him all your life. He's the new kid on the block. How does your life? Do you live forever? Simple. You don't say age. HF. I don't know who HF is. Oh, HF must be the author of this article. There's also a bit just on a picture of Matt Smith. There's a bit that says next in line. Matt Smith became the 11th Doctor in 2010, followed by Peter Capaldi behind in 2013. So ignore the advert. I'll try and cover up the advert per se. This is the article. I think it's a smashing little thing because we've got the front cover to ourselves. And then we have more, which we have 2018 Rosa, 2020 Spyfall, 2019 Resolution, and then a bit about the Chris Chibnall years. 2021 Flux Village of Angels, 2022 Baron the Doctor, 2023 The Star Beast, 2024 Boom, which is Series 14, Episode 3. And then we have, I'm not going to read the whole thing because that would just be, wow, why would you want to do that? But I just wanted to read bits of it. So what they've done really in this article is they've categorised episodes in order of ones to watch that are amazing in both Capaldi's and Matt Smith's era. Now I think it depends on what cover you got to what episodes probably. So if you get cover 4 of 6, you might get other stories recommended to you. If you got 1 of 6, you might get others recommended to you. And so on there's a section in the Radio Times where it tells about what's streaming, such as on BBC iPlayer there's a program called Icon of Styles. There's one called High Hoops. There's one called Side Quest, and there's one called Berliner. And then you've got, so at the same time, on the other side of it, for New Who at 20, you've got a bit saying that Doctor Who is available in the iPlayer, BBC iPlayer, and then you've got Sarah Jane Adventures, Torchwood, The Science of Doctor Who, and Class. And so it details, explains, and tells you all about the world of Doctor Who. So if you've never seen Doctor Who or didn't know much about the difference, I think this really does do a good job of expanding on that. And I think that the articles themselves is really good, and I think the way that they made it is quite good. And overall, I generally think the Radio Times, every time I read it, I think it improves itself from the last time I looked at Radio Times, which, as a whole, is a positive. And so, there we have it. That is New Who at 20. Overall, I enjoyed the articles, and I hope you enjoy the articles yourself. I read you snippets. I told you which episodes were in my cover. Might be different for the cover you've got. Sadly, and this is why we wanted to separate this video into 2 parts. Sadly, I didn't get another issue, so I haven't got cover 1, 2, 4, 5, or 6. Hopefully one day I'll be able to collect them all. Now that we're 20 years old in New Who terms, which is slightly younger than me, even though I am the same age as New Who, it's just I was born a year before New Who began, not that long before, because it's June, so it's closer, I think. I don't know the maths, so let's not try and work that out, shall we? Let's move on. So, overall, I think that New Who itself has helped alter the fabric, the foundation, and everything about Classic Who and Doctor Who in general, because really, if you think of programs, I'm trying to think of one that hasn't had a modern version yet. This doesn't include audio, but if you include, let's say, Blake 7, even though it hasn't had a new TV version, it's still as popular as it once was. So I think that sci-fi programs manage to survive longer, even if there's no new episodes. Even if, I don't know, it changes dramatically, it still survives. So I think that, even though we've said time and time again that Russell T Davies is the one that should be praised for bringing it back, Russell T Davies is amazing for bringing it back, fair enough. I agree. That's fine. But I think the one that should be praised the most for helping the success of Doctor Who and the continuing success in a companion form will be Billie Piper, because without her, I don't think it would be possible to make it popular. But I think Billie Piper did an excellent job, and she stuck around long enough to help popularise David Tennant. I think Christopher Eccleston should be thanked, should be praised, because he is another person that also did really well to help make Doctor Who a success, because for some people, for a lot of young people, Christopher Eccleston was their first person they'll ever see as the titular character. So he had to, even though he wasn't happy in himself, he had to still make sure that he did the job properly. From what time he had, from what he did, and whatever did happen off stage and off screen and all that. At the end of the day, what you've got to take away from it is that the important element of him being a role model, him being the Doctor to generations, it's something that needed help in, and I think that Christopher Eccleston ends up... He's one of those Doctors, in my opinion, that grows on you all the time. So at the beginning, for a good, I don't know, 4 years, I didn't really agree. I didn't really like Christopher Eccleston. And every time I mentioned it online, I was like, oh, I don't really want to say I don't like him. Because, as not me saying I don't like the actor, I love the actor, but I just didn't think that Doctor really had any amazing episodes, apart from the best episode in the whole of the first series. I can't remember, Empty Child? I think the story was called. Or the episode, sorry. I think that's the episode it's called. Where it's one that goes, "Are you my mummy?" And I think that makes Christopher Eccleston's series incredible. And I think that over time, I've sort of developed a love for Christopher Eccleston. So now, I really do like Christopher Eccleston. I love the audios. I'm excited for what's next in his realm. Because what you do is, the more you watch, the more these things will grow on you. And I just think that when you really think about it, bringing the Daleks into all of this really helped showcase to Doctor Who fans, new and old, that even though the Doctor's new, even though this feels new because we're no longer doing stories, we're now doing episodes and series, everything's changing, but what's staying the same is the fact that the Doctor is going to defeat a Dalek. And you can't go wrong with the Doctor defeating a Dalek. And that's not me saying that as a, oh yeah, have a Dalek in it, oh yeah, have a Dalek in it, oh yeah, put a Dalek in it, oh yeah, put a Dalek in it, oh Doctor Who wouldn't be a success without the Dalek, oh la la la, put a Dalek in it, oh la 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 la. That's not me doing that. What I'm doing is I'm saying, yes, Doctor Who's brilliant, yes, we've got some amazing original characters other than the ghost things that did this assignment. The rest of it was amazing. I think what needs to be said, or it needs to be understood, is, so let's say you're watching the German, American and French versions of the BBC hit comedy Ghosts, right? And they're trying to set the stall of what the premise is of this show. And the premise of the programme isn't going to change from version to version. So, Alison finding Alison and Mike in the UK version, and then their equivalents in America, France, and Germany, and Spain, and Australia, are buying a house, looking to buy a house, but they get given a mansion, right? They have to turn it into a hotel, or to a B&B, or to whatever, right? Eventually, at some point, each version of Alison will injure themselves and start being able to see ghosts. And that's the premise. There you go. So now she lives with ghosts. And the other half, the mics of those versions, can't do the ghost. And that is the premise. So with Doctor Who, our premise, even though the premise is always going to be the same but never the same all at the same time, our premise for this is really the Daleks are these creatures. The premise of that is to say, look, this is what Doctor Who was of the past. Classic Who, there you go. This is what we're doing. Here the Daleks are improved. And that's what they do. So in the US one, they alter falling over slightly. The German one alters the falling over slightly. I don't know about the others because I've not seen the others yet, but the French one must alter the way you fall over slightly. So it alters things ever so slightly. So with New Who, we've altered the Daleks ever so slightly by making them able to hover, be able to fly, do all these things that they couldn't do before due to the lack of technology. But now technology is advanced in the time we've been off. It's now possible. And this is it. This is the thing that no one gets. That no matter how much you want to revive something or bring it back, you have to put something original in it from what was done before, so that people have an idea of this is the same program. This hasn't changed, but certain elements have. And so, overall, I think that New Who was and is very important to the longevity of Doctor Who. It is very important for the success. When I say success, I mean success. So, in British schools, crazes come and go. So, trying to think of a craze. So, loom bands were a craze that came and went. The reason why it goes is because they get banned in school. Somehow, someone does something, and then that element, that craze, gets banned at school. I was in year 1 or year 2, year 1, and Doctor Who trading cards. No, Doctor Who was popular and massive, and there you go. But trading cards in Doctor Who, that I have some unopened packets of them because I'm not too sure if I want to open them really. It became mega popular, right? And people were trading cards left, right, and centre. Left, right, and centre. And that made it more interesting to the older people. For me, I was just trying to get the best card possible because I love trading cards. I love Doctor Who trading cards. And I'll never not love them. And I think that I've never actually played the game that you can play with them. And I don't think anyone does that anymore. But if that's thing, the other thing I really like, and I'm not gonna say much more else on this matter, but Doctor Who Top Trumps, the physical version and the DS version were mega popular in my household, in my life. Sorry, I was making a reference to the BBC documentary format series My Life. I do apologise. And I think that what really worked really well for that was that David and them following on Matt Smith had something to do with that. And that's it. New Who has helped shape society. New Who has helped shape the landscape of how Doctor Who is perceived. It shaped the way that people view most things, and it's helped make Billie Piper a massive star, as well as all the other actors that have played Doctor Who. Not just people that are doctors, not just people that are companions, and not just people that are villains. And so, there you have it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for something brand new and not part 4, unless. So this might be the final part, unless I have a really mega idea that could shape the way we look at New Who. Shape the way we look at New Who, and is a way of celebrating 20 years of Doctor Who. New Who is 20 years old. 2005 to 2025. Thank you. Happy birthday, New Who.
Don't forget to subscribe to the official Tom Mason YouTube channel.